Let's take some time, shall we, to discuss equality, equity, and race. And while I'm at it, how about diversity, equity, and inclusion? I mean, after all, the Democrats spend a whole lot of time proclaiming racism. They also say it's the leading concern when it comes to domestic terrorism. Of course, they offer no facts to support such a thing, except for a thin anecdotal stories and claims from the long and thoroughly discredited Southern Poverty Law Center that has labeled churches as hate groups for having the nerve to teach what the Bible actually says. Beyond that, the SPLC can offer pretty much nothing to support the ridiculous narrative that America is a hopelessly racist nation with basically no redeeming qualities, and neither can any of the other race-baiting, victim-pushing groups that rely on a victim clash just to survive and fill its coffers. I mean, the two go-to attacks on anyone who is not a card-carrying socialist, union member, or Democrat are racism or he's a climate denier and things like that. Oh, and don't forget transphobic. It's now replaced homophobic. Transphobic, the new attack on people that have some traditional values and respect for their country and their church. Even when Republicans elect more black and Hispanic members to Congress, it is waved off as tokenism, nothing to be taken seriously. They dismiss President Donald Trump getting more black and Hispanic votes in 2020 than any Republican in history as equally irrelevant. I mean, the media pushed this idea the entire time. Here's CNN back in 2020 covering the Republican National Convention. And they say that Republicans are both racist and use minorities as tokens, essentially. Here it is.
We know what that fear is about. I mean, this is this sort of fear of the other, fear of black and brown people, fear of poor people. And that ran throughout this entire convention, this idea that the Democrats, who, again, are a very diverse party, now they have an African-American and an Indian woman in the number 2 slot. That is the fear that they are conjuring up. Tim Scott there, I think, is on the one hand trying to reach out to black voters, but I think he's also there to give white voters who might be worried about voting for someone like Donald Trump, who has said all sorts of racist comments. It's sort of, I think Tim Scott and Nikki Haley are there to say, listen, maybe Donald Trump isn't as racist as you think he is, or as racist as he often sounds, because here is Tim Scott praising him, here is Nikki Haley praising him.
Wow. I mean, just verbal diarrhea splattering the entire audience with BS. Pretty incredible stuff, right? Can you believe that passes as journalism, as reporting? And also, let me just set one thing straight. CNN there said that Republicans are afraid of Kamala Harris. Let me just say, nobody is afraid of Kamala Harris. And if they are, it's not because she's black or Indian. It's because she's incompetent, terrible at her job, and would ruin this country if she ever gets elevated to president. That's what people are scared of when it comes to Kamala Harris. But let's get back to Tim Scott for just a moment, since CNN's Nia Malika Henderson spoke about him there. Surely, if a black Republican senator from the Deep South, who's been elected twice already, decides to run for president, well, then Democrats would embrace and applaud that, right? Well, no, of course not. They will instead ramp up the attacks and do even more smear jobs